Great. We're here with Pro Boim, who's going to describe his experience going to a World Series game in Chicago when he was a youngster.
Okay, it was 1932, and the New York Yankees already took 2 games in New York. And here was the 3rd game of the World Series. And I was 11 years old. My dad talked about wanting to go see the game in Chicago, Wrigley Field. And it excited me just to hear him say that. And sure enough, my dad woke me up at very late, could have been between 3 and 4 in the morning, and I couldn't figure out why he was getting me up so early. And he said, "Pa, isn't it a little bit early in the morning to be going to a game?" And he said, "No, it's not. You'll see. When you get there, you'll see why we're going this early." And we took the L, Chicago's L, and got all the way to near Cubs Park, which is Belmont. And when we got off, my dad said, "Didn't I tell you? You'll see. I told you what happened." Because the line was extremely long, many blocks. And I had a fear that maybe we're not going to get in because there's too many people waiting in line. But all of a sudden, I noticed our line was moving fast. In fact, they were on a double. A lot of them were trotting to the box office. And when we got there to the temporary wooden bleachers they erected just for the World Series, and all of a sudden we're in on Sheffield Avenue bleachers at 6 a.m. We're in the park, and I felt relieved because even though it was chilly in this October morning, I was so happy to be at Wrigley Field for my first World Series game. And we didn't see a player in uniform till about noon. And it was both the Cubs players were out there, not the whole team, just some, and the Yankees. I know I saw the familiar number 3, the Babe Ruth, playing catch with a few of his Yankee teammates. And then the game started with Earl Combs, the white-haired center fielder, hit a ground ball to the shortstop, Billy Jurgis, and he uncocked the throw that went way over to Charlie Grimm, the first baseman, way over his head into the bleachers, into the stands. And Combs ended up, of course, on second. And Joey Sewell, the second batter, who walked a lot and hardly ever struck out, he walked. So that put men on first and second. Babe Ruth, the next batter, boom, all of a sudden he hit a highest fly ball. As an 11-year-old kid, I lost track of the ball. It was so high, and it kept going and kept. I thought at first it was going to be a fly ball to the infield, but as Babe Ruth could hit, this ball ended up over the wall, over Sheffield Avenue. No, landed in the right field stands, about 10 rows behind me. I thought there was a chance that I would be able to stick my cap out and it would land in my cap, but it was too far behind me. So the Yankees were ahead 3-0, and then we went all the way to the 5th inning where the score was close. The Cubs scored some of their runs, and it was 4-3, Lou Gehrig, I admitted this at first. Lou Gehrig, after Babe Ruth hit a home run to make it 3-0, Lou Gehrig followed with a home run. So that made it 4-0 in the first. And this time in the 5th inning, Babe Ruth, Charlie Root was pitching for the Cubs, and he had a pretty good fastball, and he got 2 quick strikes on Ruth. And Ruth stepped out of the batter's box, looked straight out towards the outfield, and pointed with one finger straight center field. And Ruth hardly ever hit the center field. And the next pitch, boom, over the P.K. Wrigley sign. There was no stands down in center field, and landed on the asphalt pavement of the street beyond the ballpark and rolled for, could have been blocks, and that made it, gave the Yankees 5 runs. And once again, Lou Gehrig hit a ball that hit the flagpole and landed in the bleachers, which gave, so that each time Babe Ruth hit a home run in that game, Lou Gehrig followed with a home run. And then it went all the way to the 9th inning, and the Cubs were catching up, and they were rallying, and they were behind 7-5, and they filled the bases, only there was 2 outs, and the reserve catcher, their regular catcher was Gabby Hartman, and Raleigh Hemsley, who happened to be a manager, catcher on a team in pro ball that I played against, and he had to face Herb Pennock, who was a star pitcher for the Yankees in 27-28 World Series, who was now nowhere near to could throw as fast or hard as he did back then, and he threw very, very junky stuff, very slow, and he threw only 3 pitches, and Raleigh Hemsley swung and missed all 3, and the game's over. Yankees win their 3rd straight, 7-5, and they won the next day, beat the Cubs 13-5, and that gave the Yankees a 4-game sweep, which from 28 they won that World Series against Pittsburgh 4 straight. In 27 they beat the Cardinals 4 straight. So now the Yankees have won 12 straight World Series games without a loss.
So can you describe that? You said that there were special stands for the World Series at Wrigley Field. You said, can you describe that?
It was just freshly made. It was wooden, and you could see the wood was not even, they didn't even have a chance to paint it or varnish it, and that's where we sat in that 3rd game.
So that was out on Sheffield Avenue?
Out on Sheffield Avenue. Cubs left field is Waveland Avenue. There's a fire department right across and they got all those apartment houses in Sheffield Avenue, like the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor of these apartments in Waveland Avenue, 2nd floor and 3rd floor. Oh, wow, they're still doing it right today. It's a crowded section during a Cub game, right from, that was 32, and now it's, of course, 08, 2008, and it's just jammed with people watching a game from their apartments.
So I want to ask you about one more thing. Can you describe facing Ted Williams when you were in the service pitching for Pensacola?
Drive his face?
Can you describe pitching to him?
My coach on Pensacola was really a football man. He coached Vanderbilt. His name was Red Sanders, and he also coached UCLA. And I don't think he knew his stuff, but he told me to put ice on my wrist because it was 96 degrees that day, and I took his word for granted. That's what I did. I put ice on my wrist, and I don't think it really did anything. But anyway, I tried it, and he said, "Don't forget, he puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like you." And I said, "Yeah, but what a pair of legs he's got." After we lost this game, something like 6-4 or whatever, and Bob Kennedy, who played a long time with the White Sox, then went to Brooklyn and Cleveland. He wasn't known as a hitter, but a great fielder, but he could hit the long ball. And the fences dimensions at Pensacola Legion Field was 330 down each line. And I tried my only changeup the whole game. Why I tried it, I don't know, but it hung just where a changeup is not supposed to be. It's supposed to be down and away, and this hung up and in. And he hammered it, Kennedy, and went over. A nice breeze was blowing towards left field, and carried it over to 330 sign with 2 men on base. That meant 3 for the Bronson Marine Air. This was a Marine Air base, and so that put me in a hole. That was 3 runs right there, and finally, when I had Williams up the first time, I just had no care. I had nothing to lose. I was throwing every pitch practically over the middle of the plate. I wasn't trying to like nurture it over corners and he slammed that pitch in the center field for a really hard ground ball single to center. And I said, hey, that's not bad. At least he didn't hit it out. Because he just got through hitting 2 years before. He got a service 406 with the Red Sox. And Joe Cronin, his manager with the Red Sox, told him he'd give him the day off so he'd end up the season hitting over 400. And Williams didn't buy it. He said, I'm playing. And that day in the doubleheader, Williams got 4 for 6 to raise his average rather than lower to 406. So when the next time up, my catcher, I didn't pitch careful again. I just threw it in there, and my fastball was moving pretty good. It wasn't straight. It was taking a nice inside, moving inside away from the left-handed hitter, and he.
Go ahead.
He had 2 strikes on him, Williams, and then he ticked a fastball inside. And like I said, my fastball was live that day, and our catcher held it, which was, you know, a lot of times catchers don't hold a foul tip. And so that's strikeout number 1. And the third time up, I had hit some foul balls, and the count was 3-2. And my catcher gave me a fastball sign, which a lot of times with catchers, automatic, hit 3 balls, you throw a fastball. And I shook him. I said, no, I don't want to throw Phil Williams a fastball. And Ray Fisher, my coach at Michigan, worked on me for every winter in the field house and every season here. And I had it down pretty bad, pat. I threw an overhand, straight overhand curveball, which a lot of people call a drop. But it's really in pro ball, they don't call that a drop. It's just an overhand curveball. And it started out like Fisher liked, way up here around the shoulders, and it went straight down, with real great rotation, right down to just a little below his knees, and he was looking fastball. And he swung and missed. He could have missed that by about a foot, and that was strike 3. And the crowd went wild. They were all, for me, all white sailor uniforms, enlisted men. They were all, the team we were playing were officers. And they booed him, you know, and they gave him hell. And
how did he react? How did Ted Williams react?
Oh, well, he took that. That was the second time he struck out. He flipped his bat. I can't measure how high it went, but it went plenty high. And in pro ball, that would mean you're out of here. But this is a service game, so they didn't throw him out. And then the last time up, he hit a good hot shot ground ball, second base, straight at second base, and threw out. So he got 1 for 4 off me. So in that game, he's batting .250 against .406. And then in the locker room, I came in, and somewhere or somehow he got the word that I was still not a graduate. I'm still going to University of Michigan. And I got to say the word. He said, Joe College fucking rookie, how the hell did you strike me out? And a lot of guys laughed, and I went, well, I don't know, I just wound up and threw. And then he joked and laughed and got real friendly with me, and we all took showers, both teams, even though they're different teams. We all showered in the same place. And he offered me a ride in he had a beautiful sports car. And I says, no, we got to take the bus that brung us here, a school bus, yellow. So I had to say no to Williams. But he was very friendly and very nice, unlike the rep I already had as a, you know, the finger to the, he used the finger a lot.
Now, did you ever see him again after that?
Yes. That, funny how I didn't think of that until we, in 1950, that's 5 years later, 6 years later, we I was with the Macon Peaches in the Sally League where Hank Aaron played and Johnny Temple, a great second baseman, and a lot of big guys that went to the big leagues. And Boston Reds, we had 3 big league teams on our schedule, Macon. We had the Red Sox, Brooklyn Dodgers with Jackie Robinson was still with Montreal. He wasn't the Dodgers yet. Gil Hodges, Eddie Stanky, Duke Snyder, and they here we were. They're playing Pepper. You know what Pepper is? Usually 3 guys and one guy. They're throwing at one guy and he's going tapping it to each one, tapping it. And Maury McDermott, a great fastball, skinny left-hander, was out there with Williams and that guy's named Ferris, great right-handed pitcher, Red Sox. And I was sitting in a dugout with about 6, 7 Macon pitchers, and I was about 7 in a rotation. I certainly looked like they're going to use me in their pennant drive. They won the pennant by 15 games that year, Macon. But I said, they're all looking out there, Torch Williams and Pepper. I struck him out twice in a game at Pensacola. They all went. I knew the kind of reaction I'd get. Oh yeah, tell us another one. Oh, yeah. And one guy held out. He said, hey, what do you say we go out there and ask him about it, talk to him? And the Red Sox were having batting practice, but they were in deep center with their Pepper. So we went out there, went all skirted around, and we started talking to Williams. And we said, one of the questions I always remember was, who's the best, who are the toughest pitchers you have to face in the American League? And they named Mel Harder, who was a real top-notch pitcher for Cleveland. They named Bob Feller. And let's see, who else? Named another guy right now, Red Ruffing. But anyway, they all went finally to him and said, say, do you remember this guy right here? And they pointed to me. And I didn't look too, I looked a little shabby in my baseball suit in those days. And they said, he says, he struck you out twice in the game at Pensacola. And Williams went, he didn't say anything right away, just went, stared at me. Oh, Joe College fucking rookie. I nearly fell over because 6 years later, who's going to remember a game in the service? And he remembered. And I thought a lot more of him then. But I told my dad about it after that game in Pensacola. I was so excited, I called him up. July, it was a hot summer day in Chicago. And I said, Pa, guess what? I struck Ted Williams out twice. And he said, who won the game? He had that good European accent. And I said, we lost. What was wrong? He stayed away from this strikeout twice business. What was wrong? I went, no, we just lost. And all of a sudden, my mother told me later on, when I went home on a leave, she said, you should have seen your father. There's a Jewish synagogue right across the street of us. There was big temples on Douglas Boulevard. They look like castles. They look like all over our neighborhood was a Jewish neighborhood. And my dad went up and down the block. He might as well have had a megaphone because his voice could really carry it. He went, I want you to know my son Irving struck out Ted Williams twice. I want you to know that.
That's great. Thanks very much. Okay, so you said you played the Brooklyn Dodgers that year in 1950.
Right.
And you said, do you think was Jackie Robinson on the team yet or no?
He was not. I'm corrected, okay, because as he said, he came up in '47 with the Dodgers.
So he was on the team when you played it.
So he was on the Dodgers.
Roy Campanella was also on the Dodgers.
Maybe, yeah. So they were.
What you said first was that he wasn't on there, but
Right.
he really was on there.
Okay. So, you got another story you want to tell us about Ival Goodman?
Yeah, he seems to like that story. I wasn't expecting him to ask that. Ival Goodman was a star in the 1940 World Series against the Tigers. He played right field. He was, I don't know if he was half Indian or more, almost all Indian. He's a left-handed hitter. He had big, thick, tremendously thick eyebrows. I always remember it. But anyway, we were having a terrible beginning at Davenport. I was on the Pittsburgh Pirate Farm Club, Davenport, Iowa, and we were losing most of our early season games. And you could tell he was really ticked and very impatient. And
he was your manager?
Yeah. He gave us a team, one of those meetings where he's going to really, and he said, he had this accent, he went, "You guys are not hustling. In fact, you're not ripping some skin." And I was young, practically my early year in pro ball. I said, "Oh, I think I get it. Rip skin means we're not sliding to break a double play like second base. That's what he called ripping some skin." And he said, "And you got to learn you got to swing them timber. And then, of course, I caught on to that, swing the bats. "And you can't fool me. You're all passing up that curfew. You know what time you're supposed to get in." I don't know if it was supposed to be 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. But anyway, he mentioned that. And he says, if you don't get it by 1 o'clock, you're not going to get it. And some catcher we had, he said it under his breath too. That's why I'm gonna figure out how Goodman heard it. And he said, "I don't know. I've had some pretty good stuff at 3 in the morning." Goodman heard it. And then all of a sudden, when our next game was the next day, we're playing Terre Haute, Indiana, Philadelphia Philly Farm Club, and I didn't see that catcher. He wasn't around on our team. He got the heave-ho, and he was a pretty good catcher. And then there was cut down, he said, "If you guys have the phone ring about 9 in the morning, that'll mean that I'm calling you to either release you or maybe ship you to another Pittsburgh Farm Club." And I had a pitcher that was rooming with me. He wasn't really hot stuff, and boom, phone rang that morning. I went, and you know what? The phone rang for both of us. It wasn't just one guy. But come on down to my room, Pro. I don't even know if he called me Pro, but I went down there, and first person I see was a real attractive redhead with a kimono on. I'm not sure if that was his wife or what. Maybe who he was. But he says, "Pro, we're just going to ship your ass to Fargo." I always remember him saying, "Ship your ass." I said, if you show that good curveball up there, I'm sure we'll be calling you back. And that was it. I went to Fargo, and we had a 41-85 team there. Leesburg, my first year in pro ball, the year before, was 41-85. And the next year at Davenport, we were 41-85, and Fargo was 41-85. So I was on a team that didn't win very many games and lost a lot. But I had a 7-9 record at Fargo. I struck out 119 batters in 116 innings, or no, 143 innings. See how I remember the totals? And I pitched a lot of good games. I pitched against Duluth, the Cardinal Club, that had a only bus crash in minor league or major league baseball history. They were going outside of St. Paul to play St. Cloud, Minnesota, Giant Farm Club, New York Giants, and a crash into another truck, and 8 ball players of Duluth got killed. So a cop stopped us on our way to our next game at Superior, Wisconsin, and they said, "You guys take it easy now," and he told us all about the Duluth bus crash. I think one of them was their manager. And Red Shane Dietz, of the famous Shane Dietz, who's one of the great second basemen in Cardinal history, his brother was not killed. He was on Duluth. And I made the All-Star team with that 7-9 record because they had to pick one guy from each team. And I was picked. Andy Cohen was the All-Star manager. He played for John McGraw. And we were in the All-Star game at Grand Forks. Grand Forks was a New York Yankee farm club. And they played the rest of the 7 teams. The leading team played the All-Stars of the other 7. And that should have been fair, you know. But they were good. Grand Forks was good. And we were into the 8th, 9th inning. And the 7th, 8th inning, Don Larson, who later pitched that perfect world, he was pitching for us for the 7, and holding him down. And boom, it's tied at the end of 9 innings. So I was the only guy left. So Boim, get in there. And I pitched the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th. They were the home team. And we got 1 run at the top of the 10th. We were ahead 4-3. And I went out there, and first batter I faced, single to left. I went, oh, don't tell me I'm going to blow this lead. And then he stole second, and I thought he was thrown out because I thought he was out, but I was safe. So he says, man on second. And then, lucky for me, I struck out the next 2 guys. That made 2 outs, man on second, 4-3. And guess what this guy on the Grand Forks team did? Try to steal third. And I thought he was safe myself. Umpire called him out. The game's over. We win, and Andy Cohen says, "You might at a banquet." Says, "You might have been the last of the All-Stars, Boim," or they call me Irv, but you weren't the least. And I got a beautiful ring, All-Star ring, and I gave it to somebody, and I don't have it today. And I won a Babe Ruth tournament, 15 and under softball, and beautiful, around your neck thing. And I gave it to my sister, who I was never on good terms with, but so I don't have that either. A beautiful
necklace.
But that game I didn't think I was going to win that, get that necklace, Babe Ruth thing, because the other team protested, and they were right in their protest. We had a guy on our team named Emil Kosic. He was a Serbian, and certainly not Jewish. And they said, they're playing an ineligible player. He's not Jewish, because Babe Ruth is, strictly, you got to be a Jew. And they said, well, let's prove it. And they went downstairs to the locker room, and they made that guy disrobe. And I said to myself, oh, there goes my medal. And the guy was circumcised. He said, yay! Our team won.
Okay, I think that's the end of the video. That's perfect. Thank you.